Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is the Routing Loop. This is our weekly show where we talk about everything AWS networking. And I'm really excited that today we are going to talk about something special. It's in the field of network security, and this is about the new WAF console, which we very recently announced. I think it reinforced this year. This new feature makes lives for our customers really easy as you think about deploying WAF configurations at scale and making things streamlined from a security perspective. And to give us an overview of how this new console looks like, and actually we don't have slides, so we're not gonna bore you to that by PowerPoint. It's gonna be live demo of our console. And to do that, who better than someone who actually designed and developed this console? So we have James and Logan from our product team, from the engineering team, who actually designed and developed this. So I'll hand it over, Logan, to you to maybe introduce yourself, and then maybe James, and then we can kick off.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. My name's Logan Gore. I'm a software development manager with AWS WAF. This is the new WAF console. This was a deliverable that our team has been really excited about and working on really hard for the last several months. We were able to get this launched in June for customers at Reinforce, and it's been a really exciting journey.
Hi, I'm James Grossetto. I am a senior front-end engineer on the AWS WAF team, and it was a fun journey. It was a lot of work that we put in the last 6 to 8 months now, putting this together. So we're really excited for everyone to see it.
Awesome. And I see a lot of hello from the chat. Hi, Rings, Ken, Ari. Hey, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We are excited that you guys are here. I just realized I didn't do my intro. So my name is Sid. I'm a principal solutions architect. I work with everything AWS networking and help customers architect solutions on the cloud in the space. So with that, James, off to you.
Yeah, I'll just take a moment here, just kind of walk through some of the few key parts that we're going to be talking about if you want to check out the screen here. So we'll talk about our landing page, which hasn't changed that much. We'll talk about our new onboarding experience, which is a new accelerated onboarding that incorporates recommendations that are based on Amazon's threat intelligence, which I think will give customers some really cool options for onboarding. We'll cover our new management experience here, which is where you can manage rules, IP sets, regex pattern sets, the web ACLs themselves. We'll show the new visibility experience, some of these new really cool features and recommendations. And we'll also talk about some of the conceptual and philosophical changes to the console itself for existing WAF customers who are used to using the older WAF console.
So James, Logan, before we jump into all of this, let me do a quick sort of recap of what WAF is, because maybe there are a few people tuning in and we're jumping into the WAF experience, but like, what's WAF, right? So AWS WAF is a fully managed web application firewall service, which you deploy protecting your web applications from all kinds of attacks. You can configure rules that allow, block, and also monitor web requests on certain specific conditions you define, right? And you can deploy this on CloudFront distributions, on load balancers, and the different rules and conditions you define help you protect against a bunch of attacks like SQL injection and cross-site scripting, stuff like that. So in today's session, we'll walk you through the new console experience on how you configure this web application firewall and all the associated settings and rules and all of that.
Yep. I think one of the first things I want to talk about, and we'll start looking at onboarding here in just a second, is some of the subtle terminology changes that we're making here. we're introducing the concept of protection packs, which are essentially it's your WAF web and it's essentially a more abstracted way for us to configure rules and kind of package things. So in the future, we'll probably see, what WAF does expanding, our features growing, and this new concept of protection packs, which doesn't introduce any changes to API surface area. This new concept of protection packs will be something that we'll be taking forward. So in the new experience, you see the landing page. The first thing you're going to do, create protection pack. Oh, I need to sign back in. 1 second here.
And folks, if you have any questions, put them in chat. We are constantly monitoring the chat, and we want to make it more conversational. So ask your questions. We'll bring them up. We'll chat about it.
Great. So basically, our new onboarding experience is really based on what the customer knows about their own applications. In the past, when we talked about onboarding on WAF, customers needed to know a lot more about WAF concepts, how WAFs in general work, as well as a lot more industry terminology and industry concepts. Our new onboarding experience starts with where the customer is, which really is, tell us about your app. So the customer has a few options here to talk about what application category their app is in. So maybe it's an app that's handling media and files, e-commerce, API and integration services, and you can pick more than one. So we'll pick a couple of these. Next, the customer will select what their actual app focus is, which would be, are you really doing API workloads, or more like web page workloads? And by default, we just cover both. Mm-hmm. You can add a resource or a number of those, and you can search for those here. This experience is a little bit different than the old WAF experience, which is where the first thing that you did was really just create the shell of a web ACL. Here, we're stepping away from kind of thinking about just the web ACL as its own entity and kind of just how we get customers through onboarding with really great protections by default. So I can add a resource here. And then what we get right up front is recommended rules. This is a huge change to our onboarding. We basically look at the application category from the customer, that application focus from the customer, and we recommend using AWS Threat Intelligence. We recommend entire packs of rules that the customer does not need to configure initially. They can just turn these on and get out of onboarding really quickly with a really excellent baseline for their rules.
And one thing I really like here, Logan, is the estimated cost. So it's like quite transparent on, because sometimes you enable a bunch of these roles and you don't know how much it's going to cost. So it's really nice that we are putting this right in the console for our customers to see.
Absolutely, and you'll see that with these different packs, like the Essentials pack, our recommended pack, which is based specifically off the customer's industry. For any of these things, if you want to know more about them, you can just click on the actual rule. You'll see information about the rule, and you can also click to go straight to the actual docs and look at what this rule's doing. This also tells you whether these rules will be implemented in their default modes or whether they'll be specifically turned on in a count mode, which we would use to monitor and calibrate these rules. based on how the customers are seeing these rules interact with their production traffic.
Yeah, so something I'll call out here is default means the default configuration. So if you go and you look at the documentation for that, it'll say what the default configuration is, and that's what will be used by default if it says default.
Yep. Customers also have the opportunity to build their own, which would allow them to create custom rules in here. If a customer were to say, you know what, I just want one very specific kind of rule. I don't care about the industry recommendations or the recommendations based on my own application. They can certainly go in here and just turn those knobs directly. And for our different recommended packs here, really, when we look at the onboarding flow, it's those first couple steps of tell us about your app, select one of the packs, name what this webackle will be, and at that point you can exit onboarding with an entire set of rules based on Amazon's threat intelligence and industry best practices. So that really accelerates the onboarding for our customers, especially those customers who are maybe implementing WAF, whether that's proactively or reactively. If they're in a situation where they're saying my infrastructure needs these rules really quickly, this allows them to get up and running much faster than they would be able to previously.
Logan, we're getting some note on the chat that the font is a bit low, so if you could maybe maximize it, make it bigger.
Zoom in a little bit more.
Yeah, I think this should be good, but let us know if this is still small, and we can maybe make it even bigger.
Awesome. And one of the cool things that we add for our onboarding also is we certainly know that customers could just say, I'm just going to click my pack, give it a name, and exit, which is awesome. We also know that customers come into onboarding with certain types of data. For instance, I know that I want to block a specific country, or I have a certain list of IPs that I want to block. And we give them some very simplified and streamlined options within the onboarding right here, where they can configure kind of those basic I'm bringing the data options here. So if they want to do IP blocks, geo blocks, they can configure rate limiting here. We already pre-populate a country list with a set of blocked countries, and that can all be configured really quickly here before they get out of the onboarding.
So before you go on there, Logan, I think something worth calling out here is that we looked at what were the settings that were most commonly configured by customers within webackles, and we took that and we put those settings and made them kind of as simple as possible here, so that customers can change those settings very easily without being overwhelmed if they so want to. So
Yep.
And that's where we get the rate limit options, the IP address options, and the country options here.
Absolutely. Yep.
Awesome. We do have a question.
Mm-hmm.
It's around the mode. So count mode, is it just logging and no action taken with a question mark? So just want to confirm if that's the case.
Yeah, and let's talk about count mode, and I'll talk about these two options here, which are also super cool. So count mode basically means that we would be counting where we would otherwise be taking a terminating action, such as allow or block. And in this case, we can turn on count mode for our rules to make sure that the rules don't actually impact the traffic, but we can look back and say, okay, this rule counted n number of times, which would have resulted in n number of blocks, for instance, and therefore we can calibrate these rules and tune these rules kind of on the side, and then we can implement them and basically put those rules toward facing production traffic and take out terminating actions. So really all that the count mode is a monitoring or preview mode, and you can have that. You can also configure right here where you can set everything to count. So if you said, you know what, you made a bunch of great recommendations, but I don't want this to actually do anything to my traffic yet. I want to turn these rules on, but I want them all in count mode. I want everything in count mode. We actually give you that option here, which is new for this new experience, where you can just really easily turn that on across all of your rules.
Yeah, I think especially when customers are getting started, and you don't want to block traffic right at start. You want to just see how these rules are matching with the traffic, and maybe use that initial data to fine tune it. That's where you would really rely on the count mode. And then once you know that, hey, my rules are matching the traffic as expected, then you turn on the other rules.
Yep. Exactly.
Hey, Logan, something I think that might be good to go over is kind of going back to the tell us about your app section, to go through why that is important. Like why does it matter that we're asking customers to select these as part of this flow? So I can jump in and explain that. So the big reason here is that we looked at what types of customers were using what sort of rules and how they're enabling and configuring them. And we use that data to come up with the curated lists of rules that are shown in the Choose Protection Pack section. And so based off of the app categories that are selected and the app focus that is selected, we have specific rules and configurations within those rules that are targeted for those specific choices. So we're not just asking this data just to get it. We actually use this to curate the best protections that we think would be optimal for your service.
Yep.
Awesome. We have a question. It's around the country blocking thing. So schizophrenic web developer says we can block countries, but what happens if they use VPN to connect? Is there any way to block like VPN connections?
Yeah, between I think a few of our products, we can certainly do that, and I think there's several different options we could go into here. That this might be something we want to dive into offline, maybe on a more specific use case. But excellent question. Yeah.
So I mean, if you,
I think we also have a couple blogs around that also.
Yeah, so we'll try to share something in chat. Otherwise, I think this is a bit more nuanced question based on your use case. We can have some techniques in there. So if you have an account team you're working with on the AWS side, reach out to them. They can connect you to one of us offline, and we can have a chat.
Awesome. Cool. So basically, this replaces the entire previous onboarding experience from WAF, which was several different screens, several different steps, and you had to create every single rule yourself. So if you wanted to walk away with what we would consider just the industry standard rules, not even the more specifically recommended rules for your application itself, you'd have to create each one of these rules separately and configure each one of these rules separately. And that's why this new onboarding makes this so much faster and a much more complete exit for our customers walking out of here. Awesome. We can look at the new management experience. And the first thing I want to call out with this new management experience is that this is fully backward compatible with the current WAF console. So any web apples that you've created with WAF v2 or that you're managing with the older WAF console, those can be those are fully ported over here. So this is fully backward compatible with all of your existing web apples. You can come in here, find your existing web apples. What we have added is we've added a lot more metadata on top of just the previous list of web apples, which was basically just the web apple name and a place to like select that. It was a very minimal experience. One of the things that a lot of our customers will do is they will say, well, I'm interested to know which web apples, for instance, have been receiving more traffic or have had traffic spikes, for instance, and have they used, did they deal with those through blocks or challenges, or was that allowed traffic? So one of the things that you'll notice is we have this overlaid visibility, and I'll zoom in here for the viewers. We have this overlaid visibility where you can actually see the total number of allows or challenges or blocks performed by the web apple without even having to go in and do a deep dive on the logging or the metrics or anything. That's an awesome new feature. One of the other really cool things that we've done in this new experience is we've tried to recognize where customers have to go back and forth between pages to do basic configuration. And in this new experience, we've gone from this more page-centric experience where you have to go from page to page to page to an experience that uses these sidecars where the customer can open up a sidecar to perform a very specific targeted action. They can go in here, they can manage rules, etc., and they never have to leave this core management page. So when we look at what that kind of additional metadata is, that makes this a much more streamlined, simple experience. It's the fact that we can really get to everywhere we need to within this one page when it comes to managing and configuring these web apples. So we can view and edit resources right here. Again, we have a sidecar open up where we can do that. We can view and edit logging, and we can also view and edit our dashboards for the web apples themselves and get right into visibility. James, do you have anything you want to add, or are there any questions from the audience? Let's see.
Yeah, I don't see any questions. Ishfate did share that AWS WAF does provide a managed rule group to mitigate VPN connections. So thanks for sharing that. But yeah, apart from that, yeah, no other questions.
Awesome.
I'll just chime in that on this view, what we're going for here is exposing the most kind of relevant and important information about what is happening with your web apples. So you have this traffic graph that's showing how much traffic is going through it and what is happening to that traffic with the rules that are in it. You have a quick outlet to the resources that are being protected by it. You have a list of the rules and a quick way to view the full list and edit them. And then logging is another big thing. So we have the logging section there where you can enable, see if it's enabled, and if not, you can enable it or configure it. And as well as a link to the dashboard where you have really the core experience for visibility, which we'll get into later. But the whole goal here is showing you all of the relevant information that you would want to see, but also not be overwhelming, like kind of showing what is important in a simplistic and consumable way.
And a couple of the really cool things that kind of in the theme of what James just mentioned is, when we had that previous conversation in the onboarding flow about using count mode, one of the things about count mode is you can turn on count mode and you can pretty easily forget that your rules are in count mode. That was very specific feedback from customers, that customers want to know which rules are in count mode, and they want that to be shown to them as part of their regular management and configuration experience. So you'll notice we have a little indicator here that says, 2 rules running in count mode. You can also see on your list of rules which ones are running in count mode, so that every time you look at your rules list, you can say, these are running in count. Should I be, am I at a place to turn on a terminating action? One of the other changes that we've made is we've consolidated a lot of our peripheral experiences that need to be managed with the web ACLs. So our IP sets, regex pattern sets, custom rule groups, and you'll see some improvements to these coming. But right now, all that those 3 categories, IP sets, regex pattern sets, custom rule groups, those are right in the manage sets and groups drop down here. And the customers can go in here, again, have a sidecar experience on managing those. You can get right back to the create pack from here. Also, you can go right back to onboarding. So if you want to create another web ACL, you can come right back here and do it pretty quickly.
I'll quickly interject here and just mention that for current customers, this is the landing page that they'll be taken to. So this is the default view where if you go to WAF, if you go through search or console home or anything and you go to WAF, this is what you'll see initially.
Yep. And going back to that kind of this, additional metadata, that 3 rules running in count mode is going to be also, if you see, for instance, 5 of 8 rules active, what we're saying is, 5 of those rules are in a, explicit terminating configuration, and we have 3 running in count. So that's also where we would notice that difference on what's running in count mode. Cool. And we'll walk through a couple of the rules sidecars here. So we can see our rules, the number of WCUs that they're using. We can edit the rule order here, and we can just drag and drop the rule order. All of our WAF rules are executed in order, and essentially it'll be top to bottom, and we can edit that here. We can also add a rule, whether that's a custom rule, Amazon managed rule, one of our partner rules, or a custom rule group. For custom rules, we have provided an even more simplified and accelerated rule configuration experience here. So you kind of have some guidance right off the bat on whether you want this to be a geo rule, a rate-based rule, a custom rule against any field that we can touch, or just a regular IP based rule. And we've also collapsed a lot of the optional experiences so that right off the bat, the very first things that you're going to be prompted for are going to be the real data points here. So basically, just give it a name, put your list in here, and we're good to go. So we've tried to really build this around keeping that customer in the page, bringing everything to the customer, and splitting these things up into these sidecars that don't provide the information overload that you might see in a full page experience where you're scrolling and going through all these different forms.
Awesome. We do have a couple of questions in chat, but I think they're not necessarily related to what we're talking within WAF. So what I'll do is I'll get some blogs. One question was around like how granular can geo blocking go? Can you have it's a country based or like provinces, or like specific regions? So from what I understand, it's country based. You cannot like further drill down than a country. So, but I'll share some of the documentation around it in chat. And also there was a question around, can you cover how WAF token works and how it's passed to an application so that the application uses it properly? I think that's again something which it's well documented. So I'll share some documentation in chat so you guys can have a look at it.
Sure. Thank you. And yeah, appreciate the questions and certainly appreciate all the, we do have a ton of great blogs and stuff around this also. So I'll jump into the visibility experience and we can start looking at that. Unless James, do you have anything else you want to dive into here?
I think you covered it pretty well. Yeah, I don't have anything specifically to call out here. There's a lot of options. There's a lot of settings here. So, as you navigate through things, you'll see more of how we've tried to optimize the experience, like Logan was saying, around kind of surfacing the necessary settings first, and then providing the optional settings and expandable sections or whatever throughout the UI. So they're not overwhelming you. But they're there if you need them.
We do have, I think, few folks just jumping on to the live stream and they're asking what's going on, what's this? So just to level set, folks, we're talking about AWS WAF, AWS Web Application Firewall, and we have a brand new console experience, which really makes it simple for you to deploy the WAF and the different settings and all of that. So Logan and James are from the engineering team who helped build this, design this. They are walking us through what this new console experience is and how you get started and configure all of the fun stuff. So that's where we are. That's what we're talking about for anyone who is sort of joined in a bit late.
Cool. Yeah, and we can definitely come back to some of these. I'm going to jump into the new dashboard, and we can check that out. So for every pack or web ACL, we will have a corresponding visibility dashboard. And in the past, you would click on a web ACL and you'd see like a little tab. You have a set of tabs, and you would click there to see your metrics and visibility. Here we just go to our card for our web ACL, and we can just click the View Dashboard button here. And this is a super cool experience. The first thing, there's two things I want to call out just right from the top. And like we have customers who really frequently, like what we hear from customers is, the first thing I want to see is like, what has my web ACL done? Like basically what happened to my traffic in general? And are there any changes that I need to make? And in the past, it was kind of hard to answer either of those. Specifically, when you're trying to answer like what happened to my traffic using time series data, some of the times that can be a difficult kind of puzzle to solve there. So that's handled right here in this new SAN key chart. This is a super cool graph, super powerful. It basically takes all of your traffic from a given time frame, and it looks at what each rule did across that traffic. So this basically maps all of your traffic flow across your rules, mapping to terminating actions. So based on all traffic, how much was allowed versus challenged versus blocked, and what did every single rule do? So that's to answer that what happened to my traffic, and like, what is my web ACL doing? And to answer the like, what changes do I need to make, or what are some things I need to look out for here? We have a brand new part of WAF visibility, which is, traffic, like recommendations based on traffic insights that recommend very specific rules. So right here, we have this graph that basically says, we're going to look at all of your allowed traffic. We're going to use AWS threat intelligence, and we're going to analyze all that allowed traffic. And we're going to figure out, are there still things getting through that AWS threat intelligence thinks is, possibly problematic, or at least things that should be looked at. And we decompose that vulnerable traffic into 4 buckets: bots, IP reputation, DDoS sources, and anonymous IPs. And you can see that, just us onboarding normally already enabled some of these rules in count mode.
Logan, could I interject? Could you zoom in a little bit on this?
Yeah.
It's kind of,
definitely.
I want to make sure that everyone can see it.
Yeah. So on this graph, we can look at all of our potentially vulnerable traffic. And for instance, right here, this is telling us, over the last two weeks, we've seen 310,000 requests from bots. And this gives us the ability right here to just toggle on one of our bots AMRs, our managed rules that handle bot traffic for us in count mode. And I want to stress the in count mode piece. What's really cool about this is we can take these recommendations and easily enable them, because since they're in count mode, they're not going to have any negative impact on our production traffic for our app. So it's very quick and safe to just turn these on, and now we can monitor them in count mode. But yeah, so this is this new traffic-based recommendations, super powerful feature, super cool. You get a lot of you get a ton of visibility consolidated in this feature. Going down our dashboard, and I'm super zoomed in right now just for the presentation. Normally I use this dashboard a little bit more zoomed out, so I can just kind of see where these things are, but I'll keep it zoomed in. So we have our summary based on our time frame right now, and by default this is set to the last 3 hours. So the last 3 hours we've had millions of requests hitting our app. We've blocked some, we've allowed some, we've challenged them. Again, we can go back in here and do a deep dive. And a new feature that we've added also with this new experience is the ability to filter down to the rule level on this graph, which for a managed rule, which has sub rules within it, is really helpful, because we can look even further. So if I filter, for instance, on this common rule set, I can see all of these sub rules and what each of the sub rules has actually done in terms of blocking or even counting. So we can also go back in and look at like, this is how we can monitor on our count mode too. So some really cool new capabilities here. If we keep going down our visibility dashboard, we see this graph, which I would call kind of time frame data, decomposed into action totals and all rules. So these are basically time series data broken up into 2 graphs that still represent more or less the same thing here. But this doesn't show you spikes over a time frame. It doesn't show you trends over a time frame. This gives you the whole picture. So if you need to ask that question, what happened to my traffic over this this time period, this is, you know, the number one graph where you would be starting. We can see that time series data here with our actions. Did we see spikes in blocks, captchas, challenge, and the rules, which also shows like which rules are actually actioning at any given time. We have a pretty cool new feature also, which is our overview dashboard, which takes kind of an XY axis look at traffic broken down by categories. So traffic characteristics is a category. Our, you know, source countries are shown there. We can look at our different types of attacks. We can see that we have you know, bad bots hitting us. Also going back to our bot AMR, we can turn on here. We can look at our client devices, top countries other than just, you know, the actual map itself, which also does give you like drill down into the number of requests coming from a particular place. And, you know, we can go down these different categories to look at rules more specifically, look at bots more specifically. We do have the new anti-DDoS AMR enabled here, and we can go in and look at how that's been performing also. And we can see right here that you know, this dealt with some traffic spikes for us. Now, a couple other really cool points, and the kind of the philosophy of this dashboard really is kind of a high level to low level drill down. So we kind of build this to be, we're going to start at the highest level. We're going to get more granular as we go down. We have our top insights feature here, which is also available in the old WAF console, but we've done some really cool stuff with it to make it even more powerful for customers. One of the things that we've done, and I'll zoom in here, is we have integrated an in-page log explorer to where we can look at our logs, especially logs that we want to see very specific, like drill downs in. So if I said to myself, okay, I got 6 requests on this endpoint. That seems kind of weird to me, given my app. I'm going to go do a deeper dive here. I can click this. I can say View and Log Explorer, and Log Explorer will load these 6, and I can look at each of these, and I can even drill into each of them. So this is a really powerful, really cool visibility feature that we've built into this new dashboard experience, so that customers can have that drill down capability right in the console.
And I'll just mention as well, for Log Explorer, this can also be used to just filter your logs and look at your logs directly. So Logan, if you close that, you'll notice that there's the search there for Log Explorer. And there you can filter on a whole range of properties to narrow down your logs and try to, you know, whether you want more insights on something or you're trying to troubleshoot something, you can use this directly in the console to find requests that are pertinent to whatever you're looking at.
Yep. And like our Log Explorer feature right now is integrated with CloudWatch. One call out is that, you know, if you're using this feature, if you're using the top insights and Log Explorer feature with CloudWatch, you know, there can be additional charges based on that. And we also do prompt our customers in this experience that, you know, if you're going to be doing some of these longer running queries, that can definitely, you know, result in charges there. So we do try to make that very transparent. For customers who have sampled requests enabled and maybe aren't using full logging through CloudWatch, we do have a similar feature for sampled. So we do have this whole log explorer that can be used for sampled requests, which will capture the last 3 hours. You can go in and get basic data on these also. So we try to keep that experience pretty consistent, whether you're using full logging or whether you're using sampled.
Awesome. I don't see any questions yet. More questions. Folks, feel free to ask. I do see a comment from Higgerings. By the way, I'm butchering all these like Twitch IDs, so apologies in advance. But Higgering says that everything's looking pretty good and pretty cool. So good feedback there.
Awesome. I mean, this is all for you. So if that's great. That's great to hear. And there'll be improvements on this experience rolling forward also.
Yep. One other thing I'll call out is the filtering that filters through all the graphs. You'll see that it's there, and as you scroll down, it sticks to the top of the screen. So it's always accessible, always available to see what you're filtering on for the data that you're seeing. And there you can filter on a few different things like rules. And if you select that, then all of the data below that will be filtered to just that rule.
And yeah, calling out that rules filtering is actually really important here, because for our customers who are using count mode, this is actually a really subtle feature that we dropped here with this, which is where the old dashboard, if you wanted to understand, what is this particular rule in count mode doing, you'd really be having a more difficult time. And you can certainly go into the graphs and look at things, but being able to filter down to a specific rule now gives us a way to take a rule that's in count mode and monitor that very, very directly. That will disable some of the other graphs. Some of the graphs don't support rule level filtering, but you'll be able to see the entire dashboard basically change around a given rule.
Yeah, this is completely new. This is something you couldn't do before. So,
yeah.
Yep.
Nice. So just looking at time, I think we have roughly 10 minutes left, maybe a little less. What else do we have, Logan and James, you want to talk about today?
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely the quick walkthrough. I think that definitely hits all of the key points. We can do a deeper dive into certain areas, James, or if you think there's certain areas we can go into deeper. Otherwise,
maybe we could touch on like the CloudFront experience specifically, and how that works in the new console, because it's a little bit different from the existing one. So.
Talking about the regional versus global?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you want to do that in onboarding, or do you want to do that in
we can walk. I'd say let's go through onboarding and through the view edit experience.
Cool. You can...
Sure, I can talk to it. So in onboarding, and Logan touched on this a bit earlier, but in the current experience, we have our own region selector in the console, and you can choose global, and you'll see CloudFront Web Apples there. We've replaced this with the top level region selector at the very top of the screen. You can see up there, but there's no global option up here. So customers are often asking, well, how do I find my CloudFront Web Apples or my global Web Apples? And so what we've done here is we've consolidated those into the US East, North Virginia experience in this region. And if you're in this region, inside of the onboarding experience, you'll have the option to select resources from CloudFront And Amplify also uses CloudFront under the hood, so that's listed there as well. Now, if you choose a different region, let's show that experience. You'll see a very similar experience, but once you try to add resources, the global ones will be disabled, and they'll say, hey, you need to change to US East 1 to be able to access these. So for cloud people who are using CloudFront, this is a little bit different behavior than the existing experience. Once created, if you go over to resources and protection packs, if you're in a region outside of North Virginia US East 1, you'll just see the web ACLs that are in that region. If you're, so for example, here you only see the one. If you're in North Virginia, you'll see both the web ACLs or protection packs that are in US East 1, as well as the global ones, the ones that are for CloudFront resources.
Yep. So basically, if you are a CloudFront customer, US East 1 is where you'll be finding all of your previously, global entities. Yep. Cool. The other thing I can show someone real quick here too. We also have the new add-on protections, which is our marketplace rules. So rules that are offered from partners of Amazon who offered various protections. Some of those are actual managed rule groups, and some of these are other variations of protections, like our client side protections for browser-based protections, and those are offered here also. So this is also a place where customers can come to look at additional offerings here from our partners. And for customers wanting to go between the new and old experiences, there's a link here at the bottom. You can just click the switch to old WAF console, and in the old console, there's a link to switch to the new one. They're both currently running, and you can do the same workloads in both. Obviously, the new console has all these new features that we've talked about, and in time, we will see transition to the newer experience. So,
yeah. So I'll just say, by default, the current experience is the older experience. And if you want to check out the new one, there's the link in the side nav over there. So if Logan switches back to the old experience, you'll see there's the link there to switch to the new experience. If you haven't dismissed the banner yet, there will be a banner at the top of the old experience as well that will prompt you to check out the new experience. And I'll also call out that we're always looking for feedback. So if you guys have suggestions for improvements, or you're having trouble finding something or figuring out how to do something, please do leave us feedback. You can do that through the feedback link at the bottom left corner there. We are looking at this, and we are working on solutions to problems that are coming in through there. So please do use that.
All right, awesome. I think we're almost at time. I think we have just a few minutes left. Folks, anybody has any questions, put them in chat in the next 60 minutes, 60 seconds or so. I think we are coming quite close to the end. Any final thoughts, Logan and James, from your end before we close this out?
Use it, enjoy it.
Yeah, check it out. Let us know how it works for you guys, if it works or not, and how we can improve it if you have suggestions around that. But we're excited for people to check this out and use it.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, we released that at Reinforce, and I've been talking to a lot of customers about this, letting them know about this. But I hadn't seen end-to-end, walkthrough of the console myself. So I was great to see. It was I think it's a great value add for our customers, and appreciate Logan and James taking the time to walk us through that. And everyone who tuned in, thanks for joining. This is a weekly show, so we will be back next week with another session. So next week we are going to talk about network firewall. Wow. So we are continuing on this trend of network security. So we'll talk about what's new with AWS Network Firewall. We have new simplified deployment, new threat intelligent capabilities there. So tune in for that. But until then, have a great week. Thanks everyone for joining. Appreciate it.